Welcome to the first episode of Can I? In this series, I will stretch my abilities and see if I can do certain things with music, like for example, can I play jazz? I definitely cannot play jazz, so I don't think that episode will ever happen. But in this episode, the first one, I want to see if I'm able to write a song in new standard tuning. Myself, I mostly play in standard tuning, but also drop tunings, down tuning, and open tunings. New standard tuning, that's something way different. NST, as some people like to call it, was invented by Robert Fripp from King Crimson in '83, I believe. So it goes from the lowest string to the highest one. It's C, G, D, A, E, and G. Every interval between the strings are a fifth, except the two highest strings, they are a minor third apart. Which makes this tuning something way different than I have tried before. I wanted to challenge myself and see if I was able to make a song using this tuning. So here is what happened yesterday. I went to my studio and I picked one guitar to use for this project. Instantly I had some problems because I had to tune really low on the E string, which now is a C string, and on the higher strings you are going really high up, so there's a constant fear of breaking strings. The tuning also kind of messed up my setup on the guitar, so I had to do some adjustments, but I was up and running pretty fast. And as mentioned, NST is pretty far off from your standard tuning, so it kind of feels like you are sitting there with a completely new instrument. I finally found a better place to sit. So initially I thought that the fact that the guitar was way different now, I thought that would be a really challenge when it came to making a new song. But I think honestly the first thing I started to play, that ended up being in the song. I had Logic up at all times, so I was able to record down different ideas. And since Fripp has done classes with new standard tuning, you can find different chord diagrams on the internet. But I quickly went away from that. I just wanted to use the guitar as a completely new thing. I would say within 30 minutes I had 3 or 4 parts for a song, and that's a lot quicker than I would normally write a song when I'm playing in standard tuning. I then realized that I probably would use some different guitars when recording and also an acoustic. I would say that the biggest problem that I did have with this project was not related to the tuning. When I write guitar parts, I always have something in mind when it comes to drums and bass. And it's so much easier to put that into life when you are actually playing with a drummer. But I needed to take those parts into Logic and start programming drums, and that is pretty hard, I must say. Even if you are just doing like a tiny adjustment, you have to spend a lot of time. You can't really talk to the drummer and make him play something else or she. I was looking into tempo changes, and at some point it was a total mess, the whole thing. So I actually ended up changing some of the riffs to make them fit with the drums, and yeah, I kind of had to do that. One thing that I found challenging creatively was the fact that the lower string was tuned down to C, and that is something that I'm pretty familiar with, and I constantly found myself going into the more like doomy sounds, and that wasn't really what I wanted to achieve with this tuning. So after a full day of tuning, writing, recording and mixing, I ended up with something that I'm actually really proud of. I didn't want to make a flashy guitar song. I wanted to make a tune that could be on a record that I released. So there's definitely space for some vocals on this track, so keep that in mind when you are listening. Stay tuned if you want to see how I play the song and to hear my conclusion on the whole tuning thing. But now, let's hear the song. And with the power of time and editing, I'm back home. What do you think of the song? Let me know down in the comments. I've also been able to tune this guitar to new standard tuning without it exploding in my face. And I also want to show you how I'm playing the different parts. And the first thing in the song is the first thing that I came up with, and that's this. And I just repeat that quite a few times, and then it goes into the most difficult part of the song, which took me quite some time to get down. I'm playing it on the electric but also on the acoustic. At the end I'm repeating everything with 2 electric guitars that needs to match and the acoustic. And that's this part. I'm going to play it slowly because that's the only thing that I probably am able to do. In the middle there, that's probably my favorite thing. That sounds pretty different from what you get when you play with a normally tuned guitar, so I really like that one. The intro kind of reminds me of Mastodon Crack the Sky album. That was probably somewhere back in my head when I made it. Then we go into the verse, which is pretty simple. Then it goes back to the main riff, and then back to the intro. And that is the song. One of the reasons why I was interested in checking out this tuning is that I've seen a lot of people, or not a lot of people, I've seen quite a few people trying to relearn guitar with this tuning. Myself, I wouldn't do that, but creatively, I think this tuning is pretty darn close to being genius. In my opinion, at least, it's pretty hard to come up with new stuff in standard tunings. And that's probably the reason why I've been interested in alternate tunings. It's just a lot easier to come up with new stuff then. And the new standard tuning just takes that in a new direction, and yeah, it can be really weird, and it also can be quite familiar. The song that I made isn't really that far out. It has some weird intervals in there, but it could be like a normal rock song in my opinion. So can I make a song with new standard tuning? Yes, I think so at least. Let me know what you think down in the comments again. I really think you should try this out if you are stuck when it comes to songwriting. It's a bit of a hassle to tune like this, and you probably need some new strings for it. I just did it with my normal 11 strings on all my guitars and it worked, but it's kind of not perfect. So I would definitely look into having some different string sets if I was doing this more regularly. Okay, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in my next Can I video. Bye.